There are so many ways that we can use tarot in our everyday lives. In this video, I'm going to show you one of my absolute favorite ways to use tarot from an intuitive perspective. When I'm journaling or doing morning pages, I kind of like to just start with whatever's coming up or whatever I feel like I need to journal on that day. So I can kind of get into the mindset of what I'm exploring or what I'm feeling, or just kind of doing a brain dump for whatever's going on. And I find this really helps lay the groundwork for the type of cards I'm going to be pulling. And what I start to do is once I've kind of gotten some of that journaling out, is I will shuffle the cards and pull some cards to see what kind of guidance or support they might have on the question that I'm journaling on. Now, I could ask a specific question, or it might just be, what am I not seeing on this topic, or what else do I need to explore? And then I use my intuition to interpret the cards. Now, you can shuffle cards in many different ways. Everyone has their own strategy. I tend to use a couple different methods that you'll see here of shuffling my cards like I would in a typical deck. But, if you don't want to bend your cards, you can certainly just do this kind of shuffling where you're not really bending the cards and doing the bridge shuffle. So once I feel that I've shuffled well enough, I usually do cut my deck. So I like to cut with my left hand because that's my intuitive side. So I usually cut it in half and then I cut each of those in half. And then I kind of intuitively choose the order that I pick up the piles. Now, some people will pull straight from the top. So that's one way to do it. I like to then kind of sit with my question or the thought of what I'm pulling my next card for a moment to kind of get it into my mind or visualize it. And then I shuffle again. And I kind of shuffle until I feel ready to pull the card, just with an intuitive hit or a feeling in my stomach. Here, I'm just kind of writing down what my intention is for the card or what I'm looking for or my guidance so that I can look back and see which card I drew and what was the kind of prompt that prompted me to pull the card. So I shuffle until I feel an intuitive nudge that this is my card. So once I have it, I'll flip that card over. I'll write the name of the card down. And from there, I'm going to use an intuitive way to interpret my card. So in this case, I got the 10 of Swords, and this is the Shadowland Tarot. And what I do is I kind of journal without looking up the card, just on what comes to me when I see the card in relation to the question or my topic. So, what images stand out to me? Is the number significant? I also use the elemental associations with the cards. So, swords is related to the element of air, which tends to be with our thoughts, our kind of internal world, our communication. So, I see if any of that resonates to me in the question that I've been asking. And just overall, like, how do I feel when I see the card? What emotions come up? What body sensations? And I journal on that, and that helps me kind of explore more whatever topic I was already pursuing. And once I feel that's complete, only then will I open the guidebook and read about the card. And again, this is the Shadowland Tarot. It's a great deck, a great guidebook as well. I'll look up the card, read their interpretation, their meaning, and this particular deck also in the guidebook has some journaling questions and prompts. So if any of those resonate with me or I think of something new to explore, I will add that. But importantly, I always start with my own intuitive nudges for these cards. And that's how I'm going to teach it on my upcoming workshop. And that's how I recommend that you explore these cards because ultimately every card does have a quote unquote meaning depending on the deck or depending on the traditional Rider Waite meaning. But ultimately, the card means what it means to you on that day based on what you need. And if something is sticking out to you, you get a nudge, a feeling, that is what you need in that day. So to me, anyone could read tarot at any time because we're all, as humans, capable of interpreting symbols and images and emotions and feelings. So, this is how you can start using tarot now. And once you start learning some associations with the elements and the cards, you can find patterns in the cards instead of memorizing 78 cards, which really is not a good way to learn tarot and can be extremely overwhelming. And I think a lot of times prohibits people from starting. So once that's complete, I will repeat the process. You can pull one card or as many cards as you like. And this Typical session, I did 3 cards, so I may have journaled on a different question or maybe a follow-up based on the nudges that I got from the first card, and I pulled a second card in a very similar way. I don't typically recut the deck, so in this case, I got the Death card. So some interesting symbology here with Ten of Swords and the Death card. So again, I explored what came up for me, my intuitive hits with the card, what images came up, and how that further enhanced the reading that I had from the Ten of Swords. So again, I always start with my journaling before I go back to the guidebook to look up their interpretation of the card. So once that was done, I went ahead and wrote down one more intention or question or follow-up thought to pull my final and third card. I then went ahead and shuffled just like I did and picked my final card for this particular reading, which was actually the Ten of Wands. So some interesting themes again with kind of stabbing myself in the back, maybe overburdening myself. That little mouse is carrying a bunch of heavy things. So I kind of read them individually, and then once I have the whole story, I will further journal on how they're related or insights, knowing the 3 cards that I've pulled up. And again, I'm always going to start with what I think of the card. I'll look at it in different ways and see what resonates and journal on that. So I hope this inspires you to pull out your tarot deck and start incorporating it into your journaling practice. This is a really easy way to get to know your cards and expand your intuition and incorporate it into something you already do without memorizing any cards. If you're interested in learning more about how to intuitively work with tarot and incorporate it into your practices and learn some elemental associations and patterns, please look for any upcoming workshops I may have. And start using your tarot. Enjoy and happy insights.